European leaders expressed cautious optimism about the outcome of talks at the White House with Zelensky and Trump.
Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez will declare a disaster zone in all areas affected by the deadly wildfires as southern Europe continues to reel from the heat wave.
Hi, Ursula.
As they emerged from talks at the White House with U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, European leaders were cautiously optimistic about the prospects for ending Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Ich will nicht verhehlen, dass ich nicht sicher war, dass es heute so verläuft. Das hätte auch anders verlaufen können, aber meine Erwartungen sind eigentlich nicht nur getroffen, sondern übertroffen worden, was dieses Treffen heute betrifft.
While they heaped praise on Trump for his commitment to security guarantees, they also stressed the importance of putting pressure on Russia.
Président Trump croit dans sa capacité à obtenir un accord, croit aussi que le président Poutine souhaite un tel accord de paix. Et moi, je m'en félicite et je veux le croire après les réunions qu'ils ont eues. Mais enfin, si ce processus était refusé, nous sommes aussi tous d'accord pour dire qu'il faudra augmenter les sanctions et en tout cas avoir une posture qui mette plus de pression sur la partie russe pour revenir sur le terrain des négociations.
NATO Chief Mark Rutte told Fox News that US and European leaders were discussing Article 5 kind of security guarantees, although details remain vague.
First, we need to have full clarity collectively, US, the Europeans and the others in this coalition of the willing, on what security guarantees will mean. And again, it is really a breakthrough that the US will get involved. And then again, the level of involvement will now be discussed.
European leaders also expressed support for a possible trilateral meeting between Trump, Zelensky, and Russian President Vladimir Putin. They stressed that while they were working towards a just and lasting peace, a temporary ceasefire ahead of such talks should not be off the table.
When Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky met with US President Donald Trump in the Oval Office in February, his wartime attire became a flashpoint in a disastrous session. But for Monday's meeting between the two leaders, Zelensky was dressed to impress. During the meeting, a reporter who in February had taken Zelensky to task for not wearing a suit instead gave him a compliment.
I didn't do any ceasefires. First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit. I said the same thing. Yeah, you look good. I said the same thing. Yeah, looks good. I said the one that attacked you last time. See, now I remember that. Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed, you are not.
Since 2022, Zelensky has mainly worn the same military-style outfit as an act of solidarity with Ukrainian troops fighting Russia's invasion. A ship loaded with 1,200 tons of food supplies for Gaza docked in Israel in a renewed effort to alleviate the worsening crisis as famine threatens the Palestinian territory. The ship departed Cyprus loaded with food aid such as pasta, rice, baby food and canned goods. Once offloaded in Israel, UN aid employees organised for the aid to be distributed at food stations in Gaza by the World Central Kitchen. Shipborne deliveries can bring in much larger quantities of aid than the airdrops several countries have been making into the Strip. Meanwhile, at least 26 people were killed in Gaza on Tuesday, according to local hospitals. This reportedly includes at least 8 people killed in Israeli attacks on tents housing displaced people in Khan Yunis, and 4 more in an attack on a tent in Deir al-Balah. The deaths come the day after Hamas said it had accepted the latest ceasefire proposal in Gaza, but Israeli officials have not yet responded. A record 383 aid workers have been killed across the world in 2024, according to the UN, with nearly half of them killed in Gaza. The figures this year show no sign of a reversal of the upward trend, according to the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. 265 workers have been killed so far in 2025, the UN reported. One of the deadliest attacks of 2025 took place in March, in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, when Israeli troops killed 15 medics and emergency responders.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez will declare the areas affected by the deadly wildfires as disaster zones. The fires, currently ranging for a 10th consecutive day, have burned through an area of more than 3,800 square kilometers, according to the EU's European Forest Fire Information System. Thousands of Spanish firefighters, aided by soldiers and water-bombing aircraft, were still at work battling the flames, particularly severe in the northwestern Galicia province. The Interior Ministry says firefighting units from Germany arrived in Spain on Tuesday as part of a European coordination agreement and will be helping to fight the blazes. Madrid says at least 4 people were killed in this year's wildfire season. Police have detained more than 20 people for suspected arson and are investigating almost 90 others for allegedly sparking or contributing to the disaster. The country is still battling a dozen active fires, which continue to rage despite the end of Europe's record-setting heat wave, bringing in cooler temperatures. In neighboring Portugal, more than 3,700 firefighters were at work on Tuesday to brave the flames. At least 2 people were killed by the fires, which have also torched over 2,300 square kilometers. The figure is a 5-fold increase over an almost 2-decade average, ranging from 2006 to 2024. Norwegian prosecutors have indicted the eldest son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit on multiple charges following a lengthy investigation. 28-year-old Marius Borg Høiby was charged with close to 36 counts, including multiple counts of rape and abuse. He was also charged with other offenses including violence against a former partner, making death threats, and traffic violations. Høiby faces up to 10 years behind bars if convicted on all counts. His defense attorney in a statement said that his client denies all charges of sexual abuse and the majority of violence charges and plans to fight it in court. Prosecutors say they expect the trial to begin in mid-January next year and estimate it to last around 6 weeks.
No, Dutch police have not arrested Israelis for war crimes. Photos shared on social media allege that Israeli military personnel have been arrested by Dutch police in the Netherlands on charges related to war crimes. One image shows a police officer holding a woman by the arm. Captions shared alongside the photo state Dutch police hold in Israeli officer Yukal Yulita while she vacationed in Europe. Users state she was accused of war crimes in Rafah. Another photo claims to show Dutch police arresting Israeli Major General Shitan Shaul, commander of the Armored Corps, reportedly on the same charges. However, in both cases, the pictures show the arrest of other people and in other countries. The image of the woman being arrested in fact dates back to August 2016. A reverse image search found the image was shared by British tabloid The Daily Mail in an article on partygoers being arrested by police in Newcastle. Meanwhile, a reverse image search of the second picture shows it dates to September 2022 and illustrates the arrest of an Irish gangster known as Johnny Cash during a raid in Spain. The Dutch Public Prosecution Service confirmed here or verified that no Israeli nationals had been arrested by Dutch police for war crimes. In February this year, however, 2 Israeli soldiers who were on holiday in the Netherlands returned to Israel for fear of persecution. The Hind Rajab Foundation wanted to bring a lawsuit in the Netherlands against one of the men who allegedly committed war crimes in Gaza. The foundation also lodged a complaint over the presence of 2 Israeli soldiers suspected of committing war crimes in Gaza at Tomorrowland. The 2 were detained and questioned by police, after which Belgium's Federal Public Prosecutor's Office decided to refer the files to the International Criminal Court. The same photo of the young woman, who was falsely identified as Yukal Yulita, was incorrectly used in a social media post about the arrest of these 2 soldiers in Belgium, which garnered 650,000 views.
After 8 years of planning, a church in Sweden began a slow-motion 5-kilometer journey to make way for the expansion of Europe's largest underground mine. The Karuna Church, a Lutheran church, will roll to its new home over 2 days at the pace of just half a kilometre per hour. It's being moved as a nearby mine is expanding deeper underground, causing residents to see cracks in the buildings and roads. Officials have moved numerous buildings to a new downtown at a safe distance from the mine. Thousands of visitors descended on Kiruna to watch the spectacle, which included an early morning blessing and a performance from Sweden's 2025 Eurovision entry.
No, Trump didn't slam the Irish government over immigration. A false video is circulating on social media which purportedly shows US President Donald Trump berating the Irish government for its immigration policy. The video appears to show Trump blasting Taoiseach Micheál Martin and Taoiseach Simon Harris as weak and useless leaders who have supposedly allowed their country to be invaded by criminals.
That is evil.
The video has been shared thousands of times on Facebook, but the speech never happened. The footage of the press conference itself is real and can be traced back using a reverse image search to a legitimate announcement by Trump about Apple's $600 billion investment in the US. However, in the false video, Trump's voice appears to be AI generated. It sounds robotic and doesn't sync with his lip movements. Let's take another listen.
You have done nothing to prevent and deter illegal immigration by economic migrants and are happy to sacrifice the safety of women and children for subserviency.
Nowhere in the real speech did Trump mention Ireland, Martin or Harris. The fake speech, however, is riddled with misinformation about immigration in Ireland, such as false claims about social housing being given to asylum seekers over Irish citizens. In reality, applicants for asylum are placed in a separate system to social housing. If they are given permission to remain, they can apply for social housing on the same basis as an Irish citizen.